All right. Hello and welcome to the Do STEM Virtual Career Week. My name is Stephanie Adams-Taylor from the Dayton Regional STEM School. I am so excited to introduce our friends from the Society of American Military Engineers for a special live career talk about their work and careers in engineering. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to write them in the chat on your YouTube window. But with that, I will turn it over to our presenters. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sam Robbins. I'm going to get us kicked off here today. We have 4 presenters, including myself, and I'll have each of us introduce ourselves just kind of as we go through. But we are all together with the Society of American Military Engineers. That's what brought us together. We'll be calling it SAME, so we don't have a mouthful moving forward in the presentation. But we are really excited for all of you to join us here today, exploring your own career paths, and hopefully we can give you some insight into what we do every day. So again, we are with SAME. We are out of Dayton, actually, out of the Kitty Hawk Post. My name is Sam Robbins. I am originally from Northeast Ohio. I made my way down to the Columbus area. I graduated from Ohio State. I didn't know what I was going to do when I went into Ohio State, like most people my age, going into 18, trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. But I stumbled upon a general education class called environmental science, and it really struck a chord with me, and I knew that it was something that I felt passionate about. So I went forward in pursuing my degree in environmental science. I first got a job at the city of Lancaster right when I graduated. It was in their engineering department, so I was working on stormwater specific items while I was there. My path then led me to work for a contractor. So I actually worked for Beaver Excavating, and that's what that picture is right there behind me is a bunch of excavators having to take out a pond for a project that they were working on. And there were some mighty awesome critters in that pond. So that's me holding one of those albino catfish. It was a pretty cool day and a highlight of my my career, at least, for a number. And yeah, now I'm actually, I made my way to the consulting world. I am now with Stone Environmental Engineering Science. And I know that that is a mouthful. And I actually, I really do love working for Stone because even in their name, you can tell we do a lot of things. So there's a breadth of activities that we cover under that umbrella of being a consultant in the engineering world. So I had a really strong growing up. I had a really strong background in 4-H. That was really my STEM outlet growing up. I'm now focused on stormwater management. I look at a lot of stormwater basins, stormwater runoff management. So if you see like green roofs and stuff like that, is stuff to kind of mitigate stormwater runoff that goes into not only our sewers, but eventually ends up in our streams and wetlands and in our rivers. So my official project title is Project Environmental Scientist. I do a lot of environmental compliance, making sure that contractors, sometimes even manufacturers, anybody in the industry is just adhering to the environmental commitments that they are given, because anybody that has an impact on the environment in any degree usually has some commitments they have to follow to make sure that they are treating the environment in a natural, harmonious way with our man-made environment. So with all of the different tasks that I do as an environmental scientist in the field, I like to call myself a pseudo-engineer. I don't deserve to be called an engineer by any means, but you do find yourself in the field having to shoot from the hip a lot if something that was designed doesn't exactly work with your actual conditions in the field. So I do a lot of troubleshooting in the field to kind of complement what is going on in the field conditions and make sure that agencies and the contractor and the owner, everybody's happy with what's going on in the field. So that's what I do, but these are just some pictures of some of the stuff. But environmental compliance, again, is a big thing for me. We have a lot of coordination with that, so you can't be afraid to go talk to people and make sure everybody's on the same page. I like to call myself kind of a liaison between everybody. We try to be like an interpreter, because sometimes people over here don't understand what people over here are trying to get when we're all really trying to get to the same goal. So I like to come in the middle and try to alleviate everybody's concerns and find some innovative solutions. So we're all, at the end of the day, happy with the built and the natural environment. So a big thing that I do is protecting the stream. So you can see there's one picture of some stream restoration. We're digging up a stream to kind of improve it for the environment. A lot of stuff is avoiding impacting the stream completely. And then, you just find cool critters along the way. My compliance in stormwater isn't where environmental science is limited. There's all kinds of different avenues. You can do ecological surveys, identifying wetlands and streams in the field, identifying what animals are out in the field to make sure that they're not getting impacted before any kind of project happens. Also the hazardous material side, groundwater sampling, soil sampling, making sure all of the soil and groundwater is safe and good for the environment as well. But I could talk about all kinds of stuff environmental science can do for you and what you can do for it in the field, but I'm gonna push it on over to Amir.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Amir Mott, and just a little bit about me and kind of what I do in the STEM environment and what I enjoy about it. So as you can see there on the screen, I got my degree in architecture, and I got it from Prairie View A&M University down in Texas. But prior to that, I actually was born and raised in Chicago, where I went to a vocational high school, actually, and was doing architecture for the last few years of high school. Then that spilled over into college, where I got my bachelor's degree in architecture. And so that's kind of my background as it relates to my professional endeavors. Currently, the responsibilities that I have is doing working in planning. Essentially, community planning is what that's really defined as, design and construction of the built environment here on the base. So I don't know how much you are familiar with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but it's basically like a small city. And there's all kind of structures and buildings, lab buildings. There's sort of an airport here. There's warehouses. There are aircraft hangars, administrative buildings, gymnasiums. I mean, you name it, anything that a small city has, that's what resides here on the Air Force Base. And the interesting thing about that is, so these are all places and spaces that people live, right, and work. And that's important because in a sense, you know, people spend an enormous amount of time in those spaces and in those places. And so it's important that we build and design that stuff correctly, because it affects how people do their work, how they get the mission done. Career path wise, currently I'm the deputy director for the civil engineer group. We have about 648 people that work in the civil engineer group that essentially takes care of the base. So not only do those buildings and have to exist, but all the infrastructure, the utilities, the power, water, everything that supports that building, we're responsible for as well. Prior to becoming the deputy director, I was the manager of our program management department. Previous to that, a manager of our design and construction department. And early, when I first started my career here, I was a design and project manager. I got to be involved in a lot of large projects with laboratories and administrative office buildings. And the very interesting thing is when you're meeting with people trying to understand what are their requirements, what do they need to do their mission, what kind of spaces do they need, meeting with them, understanding what they need, and then being the problem solver to design a space that works for them. What do I like about my job and career here? Working here, there's architects, there's electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers, environmental engineers. So any kind of engineer you could think of, we have it here. And working with that multifaceted team to get after the challenges that we have in designing and constructing facilities, I kind of thrive on that. I love it. It's kind of like putting together pieces of a puzzle, finding the right piece that fits. And every project is unique, and you learn something on each one. No one project is the same. And that's a very interesting thing for me, because I hate stagnancy, right? I like to continue to develop new things. We get to take advantage of different technologies that exist out there and determine how can we use those technologies in the projects that we're working. Challenges for you, why should you be interested in a STEM career? One, you get to shape how people live. You get to shape a larger culture. You think about societies as they became civilized, right? Shaping that through what you create, what you engineer, is a very rewarding thing to be a part of. And the other thing that I would say is seek a lot of mentorships, seek a lot of help where and when you need it. You don't have to be afraid of making mistakes and getting something wrong. That's great. When you stretch yourself to grow, to find out how you can improve upon anything that you've done in the past. So I am excited about what the STEM field offers and what it's done for me. And I hope that you are able to find what your niche is, whether it's dealing with buildings. It could be an aeronautical engineer working with aircraft, or the automobile industry working with designing new vehicles. There is a very large breadth of opportunities in this field, and I hope that you take advantage of it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next presenter.
Hey, thanks, Amir. So I'm Norm Campbell, and I've got an aerospace mechanical engineering degree from the University of Notre Dame, go Irish, master's in energy management from New York Institute of Technology, and an MBA in international business from Chaminade University in Hawaii. So I've had a very broad career so far, and it started off in the Air Force, much like Amir mentioned. Wright-Patterson has a flight line and aircraft. I was an aircraft maintenance officer. So I took my degree and worked on the flight line with crews repairing aircraft, making sure they were functional. And one thing about me is I love to be around equipment. And that was one of my passions when I was in high school. I used to rebuild cars, and we used to race those down south. Where I did my high school years in Alabama. So I think my STEM career started early on. I was born and raised in Germany, and there's a lot of focus on technical career paths there. Very much focus, very hands-on, and math and science and building things and taking things apart was just something that absolutely came to me early, and I still enjoy doing that. Matter of fact, there's a nice concrete job that we're going to be doing in my backyard. So one of the nice things about being a STEM, someone who's in STEM, is that you get a chance to touch a lot of different things. You may be an electrical engineer, you may be as Amir is, an architect, and help design the next grouping of things, or like me, an aerospace mechanical engineer, and work on aircraft. But my career path has taken me from the military into the energy world. So this is a little bit of a dichotomy in that I don't work on aircraft anymore. I wish I did sometimes, but I am now engaged in the energy world and have been for over 27 years. And it started with my moving to a electric and gas utility, much like Dayton Power and Light. Well, they're just an electric utility, but same kind of a concept. And from there, I've been working in the energy field, and today I work at a company that makes microgrids for critical loads. What that amounts to is that our systems, when put in place, if you have a power outage from the utility, will continue to operate without any loss of electricity. So it's pretty important for things like data centers, hospitals, clinics, command posts, and things along those lines. It's very interesting. Now I manage our federal business, so I no longer get to be an engineer per se, because some of the technology that we're using is well past my capabilities, and I work with some incredibly smart people, really, really smart. I usually have to have them slow down a little bit when they start getting into the technology aspects of things so I can keep up. But I'm actually the bridge between our smart people and what we build and the customer. So I help solve problems, which is what STEM is all about, solving problems. And I get to do that every single day. And I get to do it between our business lines and our customer needs. Case in point, yesterday rather, we were designing a brand new product for commercial space to provide microgrid solutions for agricultural sites that had no electricity there. So we're now solving the problem of how to run pumps and other equipment with bringing in solar and minimizing use of diesel generators and utilizing batteries in our control systems. And I'll show you an example of something that we did. It's just very similar. So Sam, if you would be so kind, thank you. So this is what I get to play with. The microgrid control system that you see over on the left-hand side in the little box, or in a little picture, includes all of these different pieces that we integrate into one system. And it's really neat because we're a different solution than others in our business space. And that's what that's one of the beauties of STEM, is that you get a chance to solve problems in a different manner. So the other companies solve them in one way, and we solve them in a different way. And so our application works better for certain instances than, say, some of the others, and vice versa. So we can all use our creativity and compete against each other, but we can all solve problems in different ways for customers. So you get a chance to play with these kind of things, how you put those together, how they operate. We're working on use cases right now. That's a very popular word or phrase out in the business world, but really what it amounts to is an application. So what the customer really needs and how our system could work with that customer. And I get to be in the middle of those conversations because I help drive some of the technology that we're going to incorporate into our systems. And our engineers and scientists will then solve the problem based on the features that we need to have in place. So let me walk you through a quick case study. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so mostly I do a lot of federal work. This happens to be a military base in Southern California. It's a Marine Corps base. It's known as 29 Palms, massive training base, and they had a firing range for tank qualifying, which is pretty neat, but it's way out in the middle of nowhere because you don't want those near where people live. And they wanted to operate that firing range utilizing solar systems. The original design did not work very well, so they called us to say, can you make this system work? And if you look at the picture on the right, what you're going to see is a little building. You see the solar array, and there are two generators that are right next to the building. And what we did was we installed our control system to tell the solar what to do with the battery, and so that we have a minimal use of the electric generators there so that they don't pollute. And we're trying to maximize renewable energy. So solar and battery to make this system run. And we installed this about, I think, 16 months ago. And it's been operating on solar and battery for 14 months. And the generators, there are two generators there, but we requested that they remove one because it's not needed. And the other generator that's there has run twice for 2 hours. So what we've done is we've created a carbon zero solution, or carbon neutral solution, zero carbon solution, however you want to put that, in a way that allows the military to do their mission when they want to. And as you might be able to tell, this is really neat because we get to solve a problem in a way that helps the customer, or in this case, the Marine Corps, do what they need to do in a way that preserves our resources. And so in that, I get a chance to touch on some of those aspects of keeping people, with electricity, but then also maximizing on renewable resources when possible, balancing those against generation resources and batteries. And it's just a whole new world. And it's very exciting. And I think our business, our industry, we need more people. We need more folks who are trained in technical areas, be that engineer or technicians, anything along those lines. And our business, our system is going to grow, and we're going to need more folks to come through the STEM range. And that's really, really critical so that we can keep innovating and keep getting better, bringing smarter people in than me, the simple aerospace engineer amongst all the electrical engineers that are really smart, to help solve the next level of problems. And that just means that I don't think I've ever had a boring day since graduation from engineering school, ever. And it's because we're challenged with some interesting issues. You find new projects to work on. It's very exciting. So in that respect, I can't recommend any higher to take a look at a STEM career education path and dive in, try it out, build something, take something apart, rebuild it, try and make it better. That's what drives most of the people that I'm with, and it's just fun. It really is. Is it challenging? Absolutely. But it's a blast. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff, who can walk you through how you can really get engaged.
Thanks, Norm. My name is Jeff Leonard, and I'm an electrical engineer by degree. I got my degree at Ohio State University. I have an MBA from the University of Cincinnati, and I'm also a certified fire protection specialist from the National Fire Protection Association. Now, for years, I started my career, as you see up there in the left corner, as an electrical engineer. I did the blueprints that the electrical contractors used to build the buildings that guys like Amir designed. And I would pick out the lights and how many and enough light on the desk and what size the electrical panels and the transformers need to be and get power to the building and whatnot. I did that in the private sector. I worked for several different architectural and engineering firms. And then I went to work for my best customer. I had been in charge of all of our design and construction for all of our Department of Energy customers, Wright Pat, the Corps of Engineers, the Navy. And so I went to work out at Wright Pat Air Force Base about 20 years ago now. And I was the electrical engineer there for a long time. And then because of all my work doing fire alarm work, I became the base fire protection engineer for a number of years, deciding which buildings need sprinklers, fire alarm systems, what we call mass notification systems nowadays. And I did that for a number of years. And then I had the opportunity to become the base energy engineer and run our energy section. And I was in charge of coal, gas, electricity, water, and wastewater are all considered energy at the base. One of the really cool things about working at Wright-Patterson or working for the Air Force in general is I've now had 4 different engineering careers with the same boss, the same pay system, the same retirement system, working at the same company, okay, working for the Air Force. I did that for a number of years, and now I work in the Air Force Research Laboratory as a safety engineer. And as you can see, some people need safety more than others. It's a very cool job because in the Air Force Research Lab, we do very cutting edge research. We do stuff that's far out ahead of everybody else. And I'm part of that development and part of that keeping people safe. I go into the labs and they explain the research that they're doing, and I try to find ways to make it safer for them to do, because we're going to do that research one way or the other. I have an identical twin brother who's a chemical engineer, and he does research in the private sector. He has to research a product that his company can sell. All right. But in the Air Force and in the government, we're not selling anything. We're doing the research that needs to be done. And we're not worried about whether eventually the product is a profitable product or not. So it's really fun. It's really cutting edge stuff. It's really, we have lots of lasers, lots of fun toys. I really love being an engineer, and all through my career, whether it was as an electrical engineer or a fire protection engineer, or even when I was doing a lot of the energy and doing things, I love the design aspect, the creative aspect. I loved to create things and then see it get built, to see it be created. And we have our hands-on camps that we do, our engineering and construction camps that we have, which will give you the opportunity to actually do hands-on, whether it's building a concrete canoe or concrete beam and seeing how strong you can design a beam. They're week-long camps. Now, unfortunately, our camps registration have closed for this year, but watch out for these for next February, March. We'll be taking applications online, and there are camps all over the country. The Navy, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force all sponsor camps, as well as several SAME posts like ours sponsor camps locally as well. We also have a great college scholarship programs for college for high school seniors, and we tend to follow folks through college with awarding multiple awards for students who are entering STEM related career fields. So with that, Do we have some other questions for the group? Or I'll turn it back over to Samantha.
I don't have any questions in the live chat right now. If anybody is watching live, we are at 11:26 on Thursday. Goodness, I couldn't even remember what day it was. So if you're watching live, you can pop those in the YouTube comments. We have a couple more minutes, but if not, any other thoughts, I could maybe come up with some last minute questions as well. So.
I think that the big takeaway from all of us is that there's never a boring day. I would agree that I can't remember. I don't think I've ever had a boring day. It's something new. Every project is different. So you really are going to learn something every day, every project, every challenge that comes up. But it's great because you get to take all those different challenges that you've come across throughout your career, and that's what creates. You see people in a community or an organization like SAME, they've also had all those different challenges and experiences, and we all get together and we create collaborative, innovative solutions together that just makes the world, honestly, I mean, that sounds like world peace, but it does make the world a better place, that we all get together and we can network and really build a better world.
I love that. That's so important. And I love that you hit on so many different topics and so many different interests and backgrounds, and everyone's path is a little bit different. So seeing the breadth of opportunity that's right here in our area in Dayton, or anywhere that you want to be, in your future, I think is so great for our students to learn early on and to be exposed to the opportunities. Thank you so much for sharing some of those camps and different, things like that as well, because I'm sure that there are students that are definitely going to be interested in those. But this was jam-packed full of such great content. So thank you all so much for being here. It's fantastic. I want to, on behalf of Do STEM Ecosystem and our sponsor, the Department of Defense STEM Education Consortium, thank the Society of American Military Engineers, all of the folks on this call today. We appreciate you sharing your time and your expertise. Thank you everyone for watching. Students, keep on checking out these live sessions, explore all of these great opportunities that are right here in Dayton. There's so much out there for you, great opportunities for your future. Thank you everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good one.